Hi, Steve Stine here. I've had a request for a really, really awesome song. It's called Love Song, and it was originally done by The Cure, and then it was redone by Adele. And so what I've done is I've kind of tried to combine both guitar parts together to make it more, pleasing to you to be able to play. The fingering gets a little bit weird, but let me show you what's going on. So when we start the song, I'm going to go up to the 10th fret of the 4th string. I'm going to press with my ring finger. And then I'm going to bar over the 8th fret of the 2nd and 3rd strings. And what you're really looking for is just boom, bop, 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 boom, bop, bop, bop. And you can add more in, you can, if you want to strum more, you can, but that's all you really need to be doing is pluck this one with your thumb, and then these other two with your first and middle finger. And I tend to lift my hand up a little bit to give some space. Okay, then I'm going to drop down, and this is where you've got a bass line happening with another guitar over the top. And we're going to combine those, but let me show you the bass line. We're going to go from C to B flat to A flat to G. Now, this little melody is really neat, and you could embellish this melody as much as you need to make it more your own. I don't think it's really going to make any difference. So I'm going to show you the notes, and then I'll show you some things that you can do with it. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off going. So what I'm doing is I'm playing 1st fret, 3rd fret, and 4th fret on the 2nd string, just going back and forth between the 5th string, which is C, so I'm plucking 5th string, 2nd string, 1st fret, and then back to the 5th string, and then 2nd string, 3rd fret, and then 5th string again, and then 4th fret of the 2nd string. So I have. Okay, then I'm going to stay there on the 4th fret of the 2nd string with my pinky. I'm going to move down to B flat on the 5th string. And I'm going to pluck that in between each one now. So I'm going to go. So I'm starting with the note that I ended on here on the 4th fret of the 2nd string. And then I'm going to go over to the 1st fret of the 1st string and then the 3rd fret. So I have. So put those two together, I have. Okay, then I'm going to go to the 4th fret, which is the A flat here, and I'm going to play 3rd, 4th, and 3rd on the 2nd string. And you'll notice I'm using my middle finger up here. So then the 3rd and 4th fret I'm using my 1st and my ring finger for. You can finger it however you want, but that's what I'm doing. And then I'm going to drop down to my ring finger on the G, and I'm going to go to the 4th fret of the 3rd string, and then 1st fret of the 2nd string, and then 3rd fret of the 2nd string. So I'm going 4th fret of the 3rd string, and then 1st fret of the 2nd string, and then 3rd fret of the 2nd string. So 3rd string, 2nd string, 2nd string. Now I could go open instead of going to the 3rd string, 4th fret. I'm tongue-tied today. I could just go open on the 2nd string, and that would be fine too. I just try and stay away from open strings sometimes because I have less control over the ringing. But if it works for you, there's nothing wrong with that. So let's put all of those together. So I have, and then B flat, and then A flat, and then G, and that's how you'd play those. Okay, so put them together. I've got. Sorry. And the reason I'm wondering what I'm doing is because sometimes I don't play it that way. Let me show you how I play it. Sometimes I'll go. You see, sometimes I'll change those up, and my point is, don't get too hung up on one melody versus the other melody, because if you listen to the Adele one, for instance, it changes subtly throughout the song. So again, if you want absolution and you want to do it a certain way every time, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You can just learn how to do that, because that's the first one they do, and it's quite melodic. But just be aware that the bass notes need to be what they are. The melody underneath can kind of be lots of different things. See what I mean? So I'm using those notes for all kinds of different things. And so what generally happens is, as I play this song with like a singer, I will change up that pattern throughout the song as that little riff reoccurs. I don't do it the same way every single time. Number one, because it gets kind of boring for the audience, and number two, sometimes it gets kind of boring for me. And again, please understand, it doesn't matter how you do it, whatever's most comfortable for you, but be aware that you can explore some different kinds of sounds instead of just doing the same pattern over and over and over. So now let's move on to the verse. Okay, now what's happening here is we're playing a B minor chord, or excuse me, a C minor chord on the 3rd fret of the 5th string. And what I'm doing is I'm just changing the bass notes. I'm following that same pattern that I had before, where I'm going from C to B flat to A flat to G. Okay, so when I'm on C, of course, I'm playing a C minor chord. Then I need to go to a B flat, which I could do by leaving my C minor bar chord here, but move my first finger down to B flat, which would be perfectly fine. That is a horrendous stretch for moi. If that works for you, it's probably easier if you can move down and leave these other 3 guys there. It's just, it's not very comfortable for me. And I don't like the way it looks, to be honest with you. But if your hands are bigger, you might be able to do that, and it would be worlds easier. So what I'm doing is I'm playing C minor, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these 3 notes right here. I'm going to use these 3 fingers instead of that C minor, and then I'm going to take my pinky and I'm going to go over to B flat. See? So I'm getting the same effect as that, but it's easier for me to reach. Plus, it looks kind of cool. So I'm switching in between when I go. Right there, I'm switching. And then I'm throwing my pinky up there. So I'm going bass, drum, bass, drum, strum, bass, drum, bass, drum. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep that there, like I did on the C minor chord. Those 3 fingers are going to go back there. And this time I'm going to put my first finger on the A flat. See? So I'm going from. And then I'm going to go to a G major or G7. Either one's fine. I like the sound of the G7, but either one's fine. You can always change up where you're moving them too. You know, it doesn't have to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. You know, you could move them early if you wanted to. If you want to go, watch this. You know, you could jump them, push them. You know, so they come in a little early. That's entirely up to you. But that's what the chord changes are. Okay, so you're going from C minor to C minor with B flat in the bass. Whether it's like that or whether it's like this, whatever's comfortable for you. And then C minor with A flat in the bass, and then a G or a G7 chord. And again, I'm going to a bar chord. You wouldn't have to. See, sometimes what I'll do is I'll make a G7, and then I'll also add my pinky onto the 2nd string on the 6th fret, which also adds the 7th sound, just because it sounds kind of cool, okay? So whatever works for you. All right, let's see where we are here. Oh yeah, now we move into the chorus section. And all you're really doing here is moving from A flat to B flat to C minor and then going backward again. So I'm going A flat major, B flat major, C minor, back to B flat, See? Now, if you'd rather play B flat over here, it's entirely up to you, whatever works for you, okay? And again, strumming, you could strum. If you want to. I'm just kind of adding a little, picking and strumming vamp. Which is always the hardest part, is trying to figure out how to get your left hand chordal elements figured out, and then what grooves well with your right hand. And again, there's a million different things that you can try and do to find whichever is most comfortable for you. Sometimes I'll pick with these 3, sometimes I'll pick with these 4. Like right now, I'm using these 3 as my kind of pull. And I don't really care whether I'm on like the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, or the 3rd and 4th and 5th. I'm okay with either one of those. I'm just kind of alternating between, kind of like I did in the verse. Okay? Then what you're going to do is, after you come off that the last time, here we go, coming around. Then we go back here, and then do a G7. And then we start all over again. And I'll use the open 3rd string as my kind of cheat note when I want to switch chords. I'll use that open one. See, because it fits really nice in the... You see what I mean? So that 3rd string works really nice as a cheater note if you need to go to something in between, as opposed to just having space. You know what I mean? You can add that 3rd string in. You see what I mean? So you can add it in. It sounds pretty cool. So my point is some songs need to be absolute. Like, I don't know that you're really going to be switching the chords that much in this song, because it wouldn't sound like, love song anymore. But things like that melody, have some fun exploring some different things with it. And then decide, like if you were actually going to perform it somewhere, decide whether or not you want all of them to be the same, or if you want this one to be this and this one to be this, or whether or not you're comfortable enough with it just to kind of have some fun with it and just make things up with it. So that's the tune. That's what we've got going. There really isn't anything. The only last thing is on the Adele version at the very end. Got this cool little kind of rock and roll vamp going, and what I'm doing is I'm barring over the 3rd fret, bottom 5 strings. Really, I just need 5, 4, and 3 for this. And what I'm doing is moving back and forth between plucking the 5th string and then the next 2 strings, those 2, and I'm just going. I'm taking those off. Maybe strum the la at the end, give that kind of cool little C minor sound at the end. So anyway, a really fun song, a little bit more work. But again, lots of really fun right hand picking and strumming elements that you can do, combining of chords and scales with your left hand, and then just some kind of awkward chordal shapes, which can be kind of fun sometimes. Get you out of the rut of always playing open chords or, the standard bar chords, things like that. Kind of break things up and shake it up and make it kind of fun again. So if you have any questions, get a hold of me through Guitar Songs channel here. You can click on the link below and request a song, whatever it is that you like, and I'll get to it as soon as I can. Otherwise, have a great day, and I'll speak to you soon.